Shake off your turkey hangovers and get ready for 2026. This is SportSense, and we're about to tell you the top highlights of 2025 and what's going to go down in the history books. Let's get going.
It's time to get some SportSense. You're gonna get some SportSense. You better get ready for SportSense. SportSense.
All right. So, hey guys, it's all right.
Not
Calm
right,
down.
right.
Yeah.
Please sit down.
2025 was a big year. Wow, how long? This goes on for a while. All right, let me fade that out. There we go. Okay.
Very nice, Coop. It's good to see you again. It's been a while.
Thank you. You too, Dad. Everybody, I'm Cooper Epps. This is James Epps beside me, and this is SportSense, where you get sports news for sports noobs. This is season 2, episode 19, and we did kind of a recap thing right before starting season 2 a few months ago. But it was kind of subjective, and we just asked some family and friends what were their favorite sports moments had been, and we got a lot of BYU and a bunch of kind of random stuff. So tonight, this episode, we are talking about the biggest cultural sports moments in 2025. What is gonna be referenced for years to come? Stories that might be made into movies, so things that everybody should know to stay in touch with the goings-ons of culture. Goings-ons or goings-on?
Don't say owns, goings-on.
Okay, the goings-on. That makes sense. All right, so welcome. This is the last episode of 2025. Next year's a big one for sports. There's some pretty crazy sporting events that are going to be occurring. Some weird ones I don't think even you have heard about, Dad, that I can't wait to tell you about.
All right. I look forward to it.
Dad, at the end of the episode, is going to give us a little bit of a recap on what's going on with the college football playoffs, because those are still occurring. But before we do that, let's go down memory lane and talk about some of these big moments that we've been hyping up. So, Dad, what do you want to start with tonight? What do you want to get into?
Well, let's hit that sports speak real quick. I thought you had a good one.
Yeah, I have notes up and everything. I look over them. I need to do better in my color coding. All right, so yep, every week we try to define a term that'll help you be able to speak sports a little bit better with your family and friends. So let us learn some sports speak. All right, so sometimes I hear announcers talk about extracurricular activity, and I want you to really explain it and help me know how to use it in a sentence, Dad.
All right. The sentence will come at the end here. It'll make sense. Okay. When you hear that, all it is, and let's use football because that's where I think you probably see it the most. Let's say you just had a play and had a real big hit. The defender tackles the running back. It's a big hit. They're all, crunched up on the line. There's guys piled on the, offensive lineman, defensive lineman. They're trying to peel off the pile. And then all of a sudden you see a little outburst. There's a shove here, a grab of the mask there, a punch here. And then you'll hear an announcer, there's extracurricular activity going on after the play. So that's how they'll say it, something like that. Got extracurricular activity. That might be all they say. But, everybody knows that means there's an outburst. It might be a little fight. Definitely in hockey, if it's an all-out fight, they might say more than that. But basketball, especially football, it's really used in football a lot, I think, and in basketball some too, where they get, hard foul happens, 2 or 3 guys start chest bumping and shoving and punch, a little bit of that. They'll call that extracurricular activity.
So they're trash talking. We can't hear what they're saying usually, but we see them getting mad at each other.
Right.
Two opposing players.
Yeah, definitely. And you can see the physical. It's not just there's a physical. It's a physical altercation to some degree when there's extracurricular activity. It might be jawing, but there's got to be some sort of hand in the face, push, grab of the mask, shove, that's where it's usually a physical activity, if you will.
Right. A physical altercation.
That's not too friendly.
Right. Okay.
All right.
And is it ever penalized that kind of level, or is it just?
Oh, sure. Flags will go flying. There'll be unsportsmanlike conduct called during football. Might be technical fouls called during basketball. Soccer, who knows? They just flop. I don't really know. So I'm just kidding, Caleb. I don't think they have near as much there, but they can get their yellow cards and red cards, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Hockey.
Okay.
Anyway,
But
all right,
mostly football announcers are saying that.
I'm just saying it seems to be and I think basketball quite a bit, but I think football would be the number one.
Yeah. Okay.
That's my opinion anyway.
Well, very cool. So is another term, one term I use a lot, and I don't know if I'm using correctly, is I say they're getting chippy. Is that correct? Is that the
Yeah.
same thing?
Sure. Yeah, especially in
Oh,
hockey and all. But yes. Yep, getting chippy. Yeah.
okay. And that's a general sports term.
Tempers are
Both of
starting to
those.
flare a little bit. Yep, tempers are heating up.
Yeah.
Little outburst, physical outburst generally and talking. But yep.
Well, there
I think
you go.
chippy might be coming more from hockey. I might be wrong. You might have to do a little research.
Yeah. I mean, it should be coming from golf. Well, thanks, Dad. So let's go down memory lane here. So a lot of these are good. A lot of this list are massive achievements that athletes made this year. But there's also some drama that, of course, we had to bring. We got to bring the good, the saucy stuff, if that's the right term. The juicy news.
Juicy stuff. Yeah.
Juicy is a better term.
I don't like it, but we do some of it.
Yes. Well, and it's what's in the news, right? So we gotta help people understand what is being covered. So if you haven't listened to this podcast all year, I think this will be helpful for you because we did talk about all these things. And if you want, you can go back in our history and hear our more detailed analyses of these things. But we're just going to do a greatest hits bullet list here. Okay. So the first one we have is, and I'm just going to say this, and you might know it and you might not, the Luka Doncic, Anthony Davis trade. What happened here is Dallas had a superstar, Luka Doncic, and they traded him to the Lakers for a guy named Anthony Davis, an older player and a great player, but an older one kind of in the sunset of his career.
Frequently prone to injury. Yep.
Injury prone. But Dad, tell the audience a little bit about the response to this, the reaction to this, and why this
first of all,
was such a big moment this year.
Real quick, I found a headline. I tried to find a headline to some of these that were maybe off the grid a little bit, and this one was big. I love this headline. It was called "Heist of the Century," so that was good. Heist of the Century.
Wow.
So pretty strong words, right? That's how the
Lakers got away with a big robbery, basically.
Right, exactly. So that clearly came more than likely from, I couldn't find the original source, but it had come from somewhere out of Dallas, right? Because they're the ones that got robbed, and they did get robbed. And anyway, so there's really not much more to say other than, man, they just.
Well, the response was, people said it was the worst trade ever in sports, or at least in the NBA.
Yeah,
right?
it ran. That's why you brought it up for the year. Yeah, it is terrible. I think it's going to prove to be terrible. Interesting enough, even though LeBron James, I heard that today, he's in his 23rd season. He's 20. Wow. That's crazy, right? He's 41 years old, I think. Gosh. Today even. But it's funny that Luka Doncic, the effect, he's always been, he's so unbelievable player, but he's also was kind of out of shape. He didn't take it, I don't think, physical conditioning that seriously. But man, I don't know if it's just the LeBron James effect, but boy, he whipped himself in shape over this past summer and lost whatever it was, 25 to 35 pounds. Looks so different. He's quicker again. He's jumping again. He's making, anyway, he is so much improved. So yeah, I think they're going to not only get a great deal and a great player. This player is inspired now, and I think the new ownership of the Lakers has had a lot to do with it also. But so I think we'll really know this when we look back a decade from now, right? Did he help bring championships to LA, to the Lakers? Did he stay healthy? Did he stay in shape and motivated? If all those things over the next many years play out, and then Anthony Davis kind of goes off quietly in the sunset, just kind of faded away and really didn't have much impact, then it will definitely be probably the trade, one of the greatest trades.
The heist of the century.
Right. It will be.
And
Right.
one final note is this
Sure.
led to the general manager resigning. The Dallas Mavericks one resigned, right?
Yeah,
Or got fired or whatever.
Like they said, yeah, the owners, I think, understand when during the games late last year, when they spent the time, the fans were chanting "fire," whatever his name was, and that became the focal point, not the team. Then, no matter what, I think you and I mentioned it, they lost a PR battle on that one. So
Yeah.
he had to go just because he had to eliminate that which was causing
Right.
the
Somebody had to
reminder
take
and the
the fall.
consternation and the anger from all the fans, and that was all they were hearing about,
Yeah. Yeah.
from the fans.
Dang. Well, cool. Yeah. Well, that was one of
All right.
the, I thought, most dramatic bits of news this year. Just because, an entire fan base was livid for a long
Yep.
time this year. Okay. Speaking of, I mean, I don't know where to jump. We have so many fun. I'll just go down the list. I'll just go straight down.
Yeah.
This is
Okay.
in no particular order, by the way. And by the way, I feel like I need to explain what I'm wearing for the people seeing our video. I've got my brand new Hurricanes jersey on, Sebastian Aho, Carolina Hurricane superstar, but my Utah Mammoth hat, because currently I am a local to Utah and I got to support the new franchise. And so I want to mention that as this, the Mammoth are the newest, like, professional sports, what do you call it? Icon?
Team,
what do you call
franchise,
this?
yeah.
Oh, yeah,
you
franchise,
mean
but like
logo,
mascot or
logo,
brand.
brand, yeah.
So
are they
anyways,
going to keep? Are they going to keep the Mammoth? Is that? Remember, it seemed like they were vacillating. Is this
they
it?
better.
Okay.
They better. I think they'll be in. I think they'll really confuse people if they try to change it again.
All right.
My personal vote was Outlaws, but Mammoth is cool. So
Mammoth
but that was
cool.
That was also a big moment we didn't list. That was a big moment in sports this year. Was the newest professional brand, I guess, came out. Okay. So yeah, speaking of sour fan bases, the next thing on our list is about the Kansas City Chiefs. So the Chiefs have been Super Bowl contenders for what, like the past 4 years?
Well, they were 5 years. Yep.
5.
They were 4 out of 5 Super Bowls, I believe.
They've been
Somewhere
hot
around
stuff.
Right,
Taylor
right.
Swift dating one of their players, Travis Kelce. They've been just the kind of the pinnacle or the spotlight of the NFL for.
They were the
standard.
They were the standard of the NFL for the last 5 years, for sure. Yeah, for sure.
And then
Patrick
this
Mahomes
year,
been there 7 years, so he had his first couple of years he started succeeding, but that's when they really took off for 5 years. But
yeah.
But
so, yeah,
it
tell us
kind
what
of fell
happened
apart.
there.
Yeah. So bottom line is, I mean, they got to another Super Bowl. It still was a patchwork effort. I think they had injuries. And when you end up having to pay, last year, anytime, and it's a cycle. NFL is a cycle. They desire parity to as much. The NFL heads of NFL want parity to some degree. That's why the draft system works the way it works. So if you win for 5 to 7 years and you're the top of the league, where are your draft picks going to be? They're going to be at the very bottom. So you're going to miss the premier players coming out of college. That's the nature of it. And then when you pay your quarterback, so you always, some of the teams do their very best when they get a really great quarterback. They don't know he's going to be great, maybe, or he becomes greater than they thought. And he's on, quote, a rookie contract, right? They don't have to pay him yet. They pay him a very small amount for the first 4 or 5 years, whatever the CBA, the agreement with the union, the players union, they keep their pricing down, if they will, very low cost.
Right.
When they have that, they can spend a bunch of money on the linemen, on defense, everything else, on receivers, on special,
So they did that with Patrick Mahomes, you're saying?
Yeah. So they rode that wave a little bit early on, and so did most teams. But anyway, then they finally paid Patrick, and then the money starts reducing, and then you start limiting who you can recruit. And again, they're at the bottom end of the draft, so they aren't getting a lot of great draft picks. So anyway, we aren't going to spend much time on that. Other than it happened, they were crushed. They were down 24-0, I think, in the second quarter, or in the second,
in the last Super Bowl.
Last Super Bowl,
beginning of this
Philadelphia
year.
Eagles just crushed them. And so the Eagles won, I think, I wrote it down because I couldn't even remember. Yeah, the Eagles won 40-20 something, 22. I think.
Yeah.
Anyway, they absolutely crushed them. But that's all we need to say about that. They're struggling this year. They're not going to make the playoffs this year. Mahomes got injured, so this was like the brutal cherry on top. It's the cherry on top for all those Kansas City haters, right? They loved it. So Mahomes went down injured, so they don't know if he'll be back next year or not. Hopefully, beginning of next year. Hopefully, they'll get some good draft picks this year, and they'll start rebuilding.
He tore his ACL, right?
Yeah, and the surgery was done like the very next day. And I think he'll be back. I think he is crazy aggressive on his recovery.
Yeah, I was reading about it. It said it could be up to 12-month recovery.
Right.
So if that's the case, he won't be playing till the end of next season, maybe.
Yeah. Some of them are hoping, of course, he's hoping for the first of the year, but hopefully he doesn't rush back. But that's what's going on with the Chiefs. But Andy Reid just said yesterday, kind of joking, they did some sort of interview with him, and everybody was talking about, are you going to retire? And he goes, I plan to be back. And he did his normal affable way. He said, if they'll have me, if the owners will have me back, I'll be back. So he's coaching for sure next year. That's what he just said. So that's a big deal. All right, let's keep going.
All right. Well, we're just going down the list of sports now, because now we're moving to baseball. We did an episode a few months ago called "The Greatest World Series Ever," and that was your quote you saw from someone, and specifically Game 7 was referred to as fine as baseball can get, or something like that.
Right. One of the quotes I pulled for this was the greatest game ever played in baseball. The greatest game ever played.
Game 7 of this year's World Series?
Yeah.
Wow.
Because of its context, because how important it was, because it was Game 7. And then the 3 incredible, miraculous things that all had to happen to take it to 11 innings, right? Extra innings. It was just a double play to fit in the game. It just went on and on and on and on. And then to have the Dodgers win 5-4. To me, great part of the story was Toronto was truly an upstart team. Dodgers, hundreds of millions of dollars. I think they're going to have close to $1 billion payroll if you add up all their contracts. And Toronto definitely was not that, right? And yet they took them to the very end. Over 51 million people watched that 7th game of the World Series.
Wow.
I mean, think about that.
Yeah.
Baseball's it's considered less popular than NFL right now for sure, but look at that.
That's like what, 15% of the country or something? Or
well, we should be about 300. It's more than that. So it's about 350 million is what we were, I think, in the last census. So
it's like a 7th. That would be a 7th of the population, right? So whatever that is, but
that's pretty crazy.
That's crazy.
Well, you had some worldwide. You got a lot in the Asian community, especially Japan, right? Anyway,
that's true. So, and you got Shohei Ohtani pitching for the Dodgers, who is Japanese, right?
Yeah. So you got another great player in there too, that's Japanese. Anyway, so the point is, this one really, when you said that this could be talked about for decades and decades to come, I really do think this one will, because it's just the series. It just rarely does a World Series play out even to the 7th game, right? It just is not that frequent. Anyway, so that one ranks way up there in my opinion for this year.
Cool. I mean, I could feel the energy as a non-baseball fan just around people murmuring about it. Like I mentioned in our episode a while back, being at the train station on my way to work, I heard people just muttering about it. The day after, it was one of the earlier games in that final series where it went, 15 or 16 innings?
18 innings. 18 innings. Yep.
Gosh.
Played 2 games. They played 2 games and didn't finish till, like 3 a.m. our time, I think, here, maybe 1 o'clock their time.
Gosh. Yeah, so really cool. Yeah, it seems like a really iconic series between the Blue Jays and the Dodgers, and so we'll have to see how that plays out next year. Who ends up in the World Series? Okay, let's move on. We're moving on to golf now. We really did cover all the sports in this list. I didn't really realize how much of a variety we got. Rory McIlroy. He was the name. Earlier this year, we said everybody needs to know the name of Rory McIlroy. He's up there with Tiger Woods, Phil Mickelson, right? As he's one of only 6 men who have won a career Grand Slam, meaning he's won all 4 major golf tournaments, right?
Correct. In his career, that's correct. You said it perfectly. And I don't think, you can say anything else you want about it. I don't think is a massive accomplishment, and it did take a lot. It took him a long time to get there. right? I think his last major was 2016 or somewhere around there. So it took him a long time. And then I don't know. The only thing I got disappointed is afterwards he acted weird for a while. I don't know if he's having family problems. Do you remember that? He was
we
outing
talked
off
about it.
and
I remember
getting angry.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And if you make that achievement, you get a green jacket, a special green suit.
No.
Right?
Green jacket had to do with the Masters because he won the Masters.
It's just that tournament that he won this
he
year.
was lacking the Masters. So the green jacket goes with the Masters.
Do you get a special jacket for winning a Grand Slam?
Not that I've ever seen or heard of. So,
well, dang.
Nope.
I think I'm getting that idea from Happy Gilmore. The Happy Gilmore 2 came out this year, and I think in that movie they get gold jackets for some achievement, like a few golf. Okay, anyways, that was a funny movie though.
Golf Hall of Fame, if it's like other sports might give out might give a gold jacket. Anyway,
okay.
I think that's enough on that. So whatever you think. But yeah,
all right.
No, I think it's funny. It's good. See, it's good to remember because again, this is for noobs, as you call them. It's easy to get it mixed up because it's just not that important to most people. But it is important to note that, yes, this is extremely rare and it happened in this year. And so good for him. Good for him.
Cool. And people were rooting for him and just super excited. That was the general cultural response, right?
Absolutely. And it was a lot of pressure he'd put on himself for sure.
Yeah.
And remember, winning golf. Winning golf is kind of like tennis or something. It's just you, man. But especially in golf, tennis, you're playing against one person, right? Unless you're playing doubles, singles matches, right? One against each other, get through the tournament. But in golf, every time you go out, when you first start, you're playing against, the cut. I mean, so you're playing against what, 100, 110, 120 golfers, and some of those, of that group, anybody could get hot. They're all professionals in a given week. And then they have a cut most times that leaves them 50, 52, 54, 55, somewhere range golfers. You're still the last 2 days of the tournament. You're going against 1 against 52. No team. You can't fall back on a team member, right? You can't fall back on the running back to help you if you're a quarterback. And this is just you. So if you shank it, you miss a putt, you dump it in the water and cost you the tournament. It's just you.
Whoops.
It's just you. Whoops.
Dang.
Anyway. So it is
That's
quite
cool.
the pressure-packed situation.
That's really cool. Okay. Well, moving on. Let's get back to hockey a little bit. Wayne Gretzky is a name that probably all of you have heard of. Michael Jordan, Babe Ruth, right? That's a baseball player, right? Oh, now I'm thinking of the candy bar.
No, Cooper, yes. He's
Babe Ruth.
And so at his time, and since greatest player of all time, but that's
right. And we know him from The Sandlot, of course. But anyways, and on top of that, we know Wayne Gretzky as the best hockey player ever. But this year, Washington Capitals captain overtook Wayne Gretzky's scoring record. His name is Alexander Ovechkin, and so that was a super big deal. I think it was like almost 900 goals or something.
895 goals. So I've got a great nugget to add on this that I discovered when I did a quick review. I did not hear this. Maybe we mentioned it the first time, but you want to hear something crazy? This is a tidbit. This is crazy. Now think about, he played for so many years. Ovechkin broke his record and hit 8. So Gretzky had 894. He hit his record, Ovechkin, 895 goals, broke the record in 1,487 games of his career in the NHL. Wow. Okay. Guess how many games it took Gretzky to score 894
I'm wondering
goals.
this because I'm guessing it's got to be way less than Ovechkin. Like
no,
1,000.
It's 1,487. It's exactly the same amount of games.
Really?
You Google it. I could not believe it. I put crazy.
That's crazy.
Crazy.
Okay.
So
and I didn't realize Wayne Gretzky had such a long career. That's why
because
Ovechkin's such an old man in hockey.
Gretzky always looked younger. He's the best looking hockey player ever, in my opinion. He's so good, but he looked so young, even in his days in LA Kings when he's wrapping up his career. But that's what I found in this one article today. I just blew me away. I thought, is that the cool? If people that love numbers, how cool is that they both broke the record or had their numbers such that equal games? I mean, that just seems impossible.
Really amazing. Yeah, that's so cool. Okay, well
All
done
right.
on the tidbit there. That was great. That was a very good one. Okay, well let's move on then. So congrats again, Alexander Ovechkin. Now let's talk about really briefly Shedeur Sanders. So he was being kind of memed and stuff at the beginning
Was it?
of. Oh,
How do you make that sound? You
oh
need
yeah,
a
we're trying
sound
to make the
effect.
bomb sound.
Yep.
Right.
Okay, now we're ready. Of course, he might be starting to get the last laugh. All right.
Yeah, I'm sure he's going to bounce back and do great. But Shedeur Sanders, he played for Colorado University last year as a quarterback for his dad as the coach. Actually, interestingly enough, who was also a superstar in sports in his day. So Shedeur had a lot of hype around him and came into the NFL draft this summer or fall or whenever it is, and basically
summer. Yep. Or spring, actually. Yep.
Everybody thought he was going to be a first round pick, and he was super cocky about it. He didn't even entertain conversations with certain teams. Am I getting anything wrong here?
No,
yet?
that's about right. He didn't care to do a lot of the interviews and such.
And then turns out he didn't get picked till which round? I can't remember.
Fifth round.
Okay, which doesn't sound crazy, but I guess
that is crazy. No, that's crazy.
Okay,
that's crazy. When you thought you're going to be maybe in the top 10 or 15, and you're whatever it is, you're 158th or 160 or something. Believe me, that's a massive drop because there's only 7 rounds now, right? So it's a massive drop.
Man, so yeah, that was humbling and just very talked about because it was such a shock and so weird, and people felt like there's like all these coaches were coming together to make a statement about it or something. I don't really get the context. Like fill in the details for me if it's worth it.
On that part, there was just felt like the Sanders family felt like it was collusion, if you would, amongst coaches, and they were really going after Dion, his dad, and that basically they were trying. They thought they could almost. The Sanders really thought they could be so desired and wanted to be drafted so high that they might could pick their own team a little bit. You know, the Mannings pulled off a little bit. The Eli Manning maneuver that got him from San Diego back to New York, where he wanted to be with the Giants. So they were that kind of talk was going around. And then, and so supposedly they just maybe didn't want the circus. I'm just using the words they did. The circus that was going to come around with Dion and one of Dion's sons and the way they were approaching it. I feel like Shedeur as a person and what they said. He's nothing like his dad. When his dad was young, his dad was truly brash and crazy. I mean, crazy,
really?
Wild and talented. But I think his son I think Shedeur is much more. He seemed much more mellow but anyway. So that some people, maybe they thought they were putting his dad in his place too. Some people supposedly. I don't know.
Interesting.
I think they did a lot of talent evaluating, and then I personally think he probably should have gone in second or third round. I mean, at some point, quarterbacks are such a crapshoot anyway, but they always need them. So I do feel like to go to the 5th round seems a little unusual. I will say that. A lot unusual. Yeah.
Interesting.
Because there were some quarterbacks taken ahead of them that, really surprised me.
Right.
Yeah. All right, man.
Okay. Well, let's just blow through these last few so we can get to the college football playoff update. Oklahoma City won their first NBA championship earlier this year. Oklahoma City Thunder. So that was a big deal. We learned about their star, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, we think is how you say it.
SGA, yeah.
SGA, you can say for short. Recently, we've talked about this recently, so we don't need to dig into it more, but Phillip Rivers came out of retirement as basically a middle-aged man to play quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts in the past
because
few
they were
games.
Decimated, right? The injuries decimated their top 2 quarterbacks. Interesting enough, we have great timing. There's only one regular season game left. They're out of the playoffs, and they are not going to start him. They're going to start the quarterback. I think it's from Wake Forest, Riley Leonard, who had been their third-string quarterback. That came out today. They're going to start him and not Phillip the last game.
Okay.
They're going to make the playoffs anyway. But
so
Phillip,
he had
all his normal class and fun and humor. He said, "Oh, it was a great ride. I'm all right with that." And I'm going to pull for Riley, and he'll be the backup, I guess, to Riley on Sunday or Saturday whenever they play.
And then after that game, he'll go back in retirement, I guess.
Oh yeah. He's going to get back
But-
coaching his boys in high school in Alabama and live the good life and put a few more pounds back on that he probably lost over the last few weeks.
Yeah. That's one of those stories I almost think will become a movie one day. He didn't win either of these games he started, but he played surprisingly well. Like,
he had them in position
really
easy on two of them.
people.
They could have easily won those games.
Yeah.
So it wasn't his fault, really. But yeah, I think you're right. It's going to make a great Disney movie. It's got to be a Disney. I hate to say that. See, that's my old reference. But maybe an Angel Studio movie with the new. But meaning he's so wholesome. I mean, he has a lifetime of 10 kids. Never says anything worse than dadgummit. And then just loves everybody and everything and loves Christ, right? I mean, that's his life.
Yeah,
that's
very
who he is.
Christian guy.
Oh my gosh. I mean, he lives it and has lived it. So yes, it needs to be. The old days would say a Disney movie. Ooh, don't know now. But but somebody like that, right? Somebody like maybe Angel Studio.
I mean, I
agree. It'll be a great movie.
I think comedy is making a resurgence in Hollywood again, thankfully. I think it'd be a good comedy movie. Like, just play into the fun of it, because Rivers has had such a good attitude about it.
Yeah,
and
I think they could do both, right? I think they can kind of make it a blend in comedy into the, a little bit inspiring too, right? A little bit.
Yeah.
Very inspiring.
So, and because he's definitely an inspiring guy, but that was for sure a highlight of the year. Such a fun moment.
Yes.
And I think that's going to be referenced for a long time from now.
Grandpa's back.
Yeah. Okay. The last thing we'll mention is the NBA gambling scandal and following arrests that happened there. There was the one we talked about this a few episodes ago, so you guys can go back. The name of the episode is something about the mafia and NBA gambling scandal, because it wasn't just because there's a few instances this year of athletes. I read about some baseball players, but basically athletes working with sports bettors to throw a game or throw a pitch bad or shoot this thing wrong in a basketball game to win a little bit of money on the side. So that's kind of commonplace, it seems like, which is sad to say. But this one was extra weird because star on the Pelicans was involved, and a head coach of Portland was involved.
Craziest part. The craziest part is the head coach who had an incredible NBA career. So we'll talk more when this really comes out, and the trials that happen next year, probably, or the year after. I don't know. But no, that is not that I can remember ever has there been a head coach be arrested out of the blue. His team wakes up, he's gone, he's arrested in the feds on a major gambling scandal.
Yeah.
A head coach in the NBA. Think about that. Head coach in NFL, NBA, or Major League Baseball. I can assure you, there's been players and such here and there. Maybe a referee. We had a referee scandal in the NBA 15 years ago or whatever it was. But a head coach who had an unbelievable NBA career, who would ever have dreamed it? So that's worth mentioning.
Yeah, and my thing is, if you're that guy, aren't you pretty busy as an NBA head coach? Like, don't you have enough to do to be running around with apparently the mafia and doing having some sort of? I just keep seeing poker rings in the headlines. I'm not sure what that means.
Right.
But in addition to the sports gambling, doing whatever weird else, just focus on learning how to coach good. Like, the Portland hasn't been doing anything special. Like, be a better coach. I don't know. So that whole story was crazy to me. And so, like you said, there's definitely going to be some documentary stuff about that coming out in the next year or so as the details continue to fall out of that. Okay. Tons of coaching drama, but we've talked about that a lot this football season with college football coaches being fired and moved around and scandals. And so you guys can go listen to our older episodes about those. But let's move on. Speaking of college football, to what's going on this week. And thank you for taking this trip down memory lane. We hope it was helpful for everybody.
Yep, that was a blast. I mean, there's so much, but that gives you a good flavor, I think, a good flavor. 2025 in the books. But we're still not, actually, we're going to still straddle 2005 for a minute. Real quick, CFP, college football playoff wrap up. it's the next 2 days. It's not even this weekend. So tomorrow night, I think it's tomorrow night. Yeah. The University of Miami, Ohio State game. Miami's the most Cinderella team there is in this grouping, right? Them and Alabama. They're number 10
Yeah, they
seed.
snuck
Alabama
into the playoffs.
Number 9 seed. Both snuck in, but they won their first games, right? So as I said before, that I think they proved their worth right there. You can't argue. Anyway, just so everybody knows, we got the game tomorrow night. That'll be one. And then New Year's Day used to be the biggest, January 2nd used to be big bowl days, right? Big in the old days before we had the big playoffs now, the playoffs. All three of the others, 4 games left. There's 8 teams left. 8, see my fingers, 8. 4 games left. One tomorrow night, New Year's Eve, and then 3 on New Year's Day. I mean, if somebody likes college football, you start at noon, 4, and 8. I mean, you got to go all day. So just remember, I mean, we've got the matchups, Oregon versus Texas Tech. I've got in my bracket, remember we got our brackets. I've got Texas Tech picked to win. I've got Indiana to win against Indiana, Alabama. Right now, I think these are pretty solid. That Texas Tech Oregon game's got to be a great game. They're such 2 different teams. I am really interested in that game. Alabama, Indiana. I think Indiana is a better team, and so they are so much more consistent from everything I've heard and read and seen versus Alabama. Alabama can be hot and cold, so you never know. Alabama can pull it off, but I think Indiana will win. Then you have Georgia and Ole Miss. Of course, Ole Miss is playing on we hate Lane Kiffin, mood and spirit, right? Screw all of them. We're going to win it all. So you never know. They might upset Georgia, but Georgia, I had them picked. And then the last game, Ohio State, and like I said, Miami tomorrow night. And I have Ohio State winning. But just a heads up, if you don't love sports, don't love college football, and you start realizing your other half or your family members or your parents or your aunts and uncles or somebody glued to the TV, especially on New Year's Day, this is why. This is the college football. No pro football until Saturday and Sunday this upcoming weekend. By the way, NFL is the last weekend of the regular season. So there's still some playoffs positioning and playoffs people playing for, and then some of the games are not so good because they don't matter. But that'll be this weekend, Saturday and Sunday, and then we'll have the playoffs set. We can talk about that next week for the playoffs for the NFL.
Cool.
And that's a wrap. That's what I got.
They'll be wrapping up college football, the tournament, as the NFL playoffs are beginning, I guess, or maybe just before.
No, they'll wrap up just a little bit after, because you've got 4 games this week, and then you have 10 days, and you'll have the semifinals, and then another week, and you have the finals.
Okay, so
there'll be about 2 weeks.
Overlap.
They'll about 2 weeks, week to 2 weeks into the NFL initial wild card playoffs. Yep.
Cool.
Lots of good football if you love football. Remember how I was so happy when football started?
Yeah.
This is unbelievable. I'm kind of sad. I'm getting sad a little ahead of time. I can't.
But this is also the climax of the season, right? Seeing the best teams go out.
Yes, that's great. But I'm already thinking about
Yeah, it's like you're on the second to last day of a vacation where still plenty of fun to be had, but you can feel the end coming. Yeah,
exactly. But that's all I'll say about that.
With that, happy New Year, everybody. Enjoy the start of 2026, and we'll see you next week.
Absolutely. Happy New Year. Happy New Year, Coop. Love you.
Love you. Bye.
SportSense.